One, two, three, four.
Welcome back to Me Versus Myself podcast. It has been a long time since I've talked to you guys, but today is December 20th, 2022. I want to make this video because it's crazy how the year's almost over, and I feel like this year I've really slowed down on uploads. I think I uploaded like 8 episodes this whole month. This whole year, which is kind of unlike me, kind of unlike what I had been doing in the past. You know, I had been pretty consistent with the episodes and being transparent about what it was I was dealing with, but somewhere along the line, I've kind of lost myself, kind of lost my voice, kind of lost my intention, kind of lost and was confused about my mission and purpose for doing this. And the reason why, I want to do this in the first place, right? And I think it got kind of misconstrued with a bunch of other things that weren't really Me Versus Myself podcast. I took a lot of time away from this craft, from honing my voice and speaking out for what it is that I believe in and feel and think, regardless of the amount of attention, the amount of views, the amount of likes I was getting. I felt like for a little bit of time I was faced with the question of, why am I doing this? And I didn't really have an answer for a while. I felt like I wasn't really sure I was capable of having a voice, right? And that's kind of where I lost my power. I gave up my voice, right? And my reason to share my thoughts, like the reason why I used to do it in the first place, was for me. But when I started asking, what is it I'm doing for other people, I started to doubt and question whether I was making the right decisions with moving forward in life, right? I think Millie wants to join us on here. She wants to join us, but so yeah, dude, like I feel like I gave up my power of my voice, right, and my opinions to no real person. More so, I just kind of fed into the ideas that I didn't need to share. I didn't need to be held accountable. I didn't need to be holding myself accountable even now, because as the lights and camera turned off, I was able to hide things from you. I was able to hide things from myself. I wasn't like face to face confronting these decisions, right? These ideas, these feelings of what I was having. Rather, it was constantly beating myself up, constantly self-doubting myself, constantly comparing myself to other people. And that took a lot away from me. That took a lot away from the podcast. That took a lot of growth from the podcast as well too. Like I'm sure from maybe the consistent 20 people that were listening to where we're at now, it's like kind of have to rebuild that. And I'm not so much dreading the fact that I need to rebuild that. I just feel like I'd left without really explaining anything, and more so I've just kind of had these like periodic pop-ups here and there. And like yesterday I was listening to the previous episode before this on Spotify, the What Am I Afraid Of episode. That episode was really valuable to listen to, because like I said, for a long time I feel like I gave up the power of who I was. And maybe that's not really making sense completely, but I gave up my voice and I gave up listening to my intuition. I put others before me. I kind of self-sabotaged myself by making myself available to certain people all the time. And I now realize that because I haven't really had my ambitions or my goals kind of in motion, it's been hard to want to show up for myself yet not believe, right? Like parts of me didn't believe in myself, so that made it hard to kind of come on here and be like, hey guys, this is what I'm working on, this is what I'm building. But I've realized how accountable this holds me, right? Whether I I stopped doing this because I gave up on wanting to appease others. So part of me was doing this for the attention, for the chance of being famous, right? Like I was trying to be successful by just talking. And there's people that can do that, but part of me felt like I needed to go out and do more and prove more to myself that this is why I'm valuable, and this is why I'm worth having a platform and a voice, right? Like ultimately that's like the main thing. Like the voice I gave up, right, was limiting me from really trying to move forward, right? Because it wasn't really congruent with who I am. And I think like me documenting the imperfection, the imperfect process is so valuable to myself before I even start thinking about the impact and value I bring to others, right? Like, yes, that makes me feel good. It makes me feel really good to know that this has had an impact on several lives. But yet, I gave up the belief that what I was doing and my imperfect progress was the reason why people were touched, right? Rather than thinking in my head, oh, I need to be successful and I need to be speaking from this place of I already made it, so let me put you guys on, rather than, hey guys, I'm really trying to figure this shit out and I don't know and I feel so shitty and I feel ugly or whatever it is that I was dealing with, and confront it, right? And like not make it bigger than it was. But since I kind of was running away from these things, I stopped facing those issues. I stopped confronting myself. I stopped looking at myself even in the mirror, dude. I feel like I don't even fucking take the time to settle down with myself and take the time to like really like listen and hear what I'm thinking of. I mean, I can tell you guys that last month was a good challenge that I did. I did a like a sober streak challenge where I didn't consume any THC and alcohol only one day. I kind of broke the streak that day on Thanksgiving, but regardless, for the most part, it was 99% completion. And well, it was like THC free completely, so that was good. That was a period of rebalance and realignment to really ground myself in just sober Jesus. Okay, Millie, you want to go down? You want to go down? Maybe not. Maybe you just want to chill. Maybe she just wants to chill. Look at her. But yeah, it was a period of realignment for sure to like confront certain issues about myself, confront who I've been, right? Behind the scenes, because for a period of time, the accountability of having to show up 3 times a week for this episode led me to, it was like I was piecing together my story at the same time as I was living it, and it kind of made it make sense. It kind of made things be in motion rather than me quote unquote dealing with some underlying issues and not really dealing with them, just kind of handling them as they come throughout the day. And whether or not I actually reached a conclusion, it just was like up to whatever circumstance, whatever environment I happened to be in. So as I look around my room, I still see things that are out of place. For example, like things that should have a place that don't, that I've just let kind of run, like just be laid out everywhere. And I know that's not really an excuse. Like, yeah, okay, yeah, your room's small, or yeah, I have like clutter. But it's like, dude, like, only because you want to. Only because you let it distract you. Only because you don't want to actually work. So you don't prioritize planning even your weeks. So, yeah, dude, I feel like a lot of that has slipped up from being so regimented, from being so, like, wanting to get after it. I think I got to a point where in my head I felt like I made it. Or I did something, right? Like, I mean, and you can kind of say that I did. But from COVID on to, like, a year and a half ago, I was like really making progress, really making strides, and I feel like I kind of backtracked on that progress because of my identity and who I thought I was still. rather than who I actually just was. Because I did do all those things. I did create that physique. I did work and cook and make money to fund those ideas and habits. But recently I stopped and slowed down for the past maybe year of being like, well, fuck, like, I need to figure it out. So I need to cut certain things out. I need to prioritize people. I need to put other people first. I need to put my relationship first even. And I kind of let the things that were moving me forward, like the constant kind of baselines I had held, I kind of let them kind of broaden out, so that I kind of let it broaden out to the point where it was kind of hard for me to really realize or think about what it was that I was even looking to achieve, you know. Millie's over there doing her thing, digging up at the blanket to fix her, to posture herself up better. But dude, like, I've missed this, dude, and I've realized for this past year how valuable this is to me. Whether I can, like, I kind of can judge myself and be like, oh, it's not getting views, but it's not like moving around, it's not making me money, but it's like that's not really why it helps me. Like that's not what helps me, you know. Yes, they can kind of make a difference in my situation, quote unquote, for me to be making money off this thing. And it's not that I shouldn't run this podcast like I run a business, but yeah, I guess I didn't see it that way, and then I tried to see it that way, and I feel like I got overwhelmed with where I was compared to where other people were at, and that limited the consistency of sorts of what it was that I was willing to do, right? Like I was just comfortable hiding in the dark of not having to socially engage in looking a certain way, like dressing myself up, having to gain anyone's approval. Like I have a girlfriend, so I kind of like let go of, okay, well, I need to look good for when I go out, or I need to look good for like when I meet people, because there's some sort of like intention there of like, oh, I want to meet new people. But yeah, it's not so much. I just kind of gave those things up as an excuse to just hide in the shadows of what was going on. Like hide in the shadows, and it became easy. But then it's like, holy fuck, like how do I even shine the light back on here? Because I feel like it's just demons, right? For a long time it's only been demons. It's only been like me dealing with the self-pity and the self, like just self-pity, really, like feeling pity for myself, and holding myself in this dark place of being like, oh fuck, I can't get back in the groove of working out, but yet I don't make it an effort to write down workout on my calendar or my agenda to be like, okay, this is what we're doing. Rather, I really just let the days go by. I let the weeks go by. I let the months go by this year. Like literally one day at a time living it. Next thing you know, a whole month, 2 months have passed, and I'm still in the same place. And partially is because I've not held myself accountable, right? Like in some way, this podcast is that. Like me versus myself is this place where I say shit, and I fucking better back it up, or else I kind of look stupid. But the thing is, like, I can look stupid and no one see me, and I can justify it and be like, well, fuck it, like, whatever. Like, you know? So, let me let Millie out really quick. She's had enough. She's rowdy. I wouldn't be surprised if she comes back in, though. But, yeah, dude, like, I'm glad to say all these things. Even yesterday, I thought about recording, and I kind of knew I needed to record, but I had the camera set up, I had the fucking lighting set up, but I just didn't make it, I didn't find the time to make it, you know? But today I knew I had to. Today I knew I had to record something. I had to start the engine. Like, literally start the engine, dude. Like, I know I gotta go way harder. I've just been sitting in this overwhelmedness of there's so much I need to do, and I'm doing it all by myself. But yet I just didn't. I have not mapped it out. Like I failed to. I haven't planned. I haven't planned to fail. I've just failed to plan, and that comes with me speaking it and then having to back that up for myself sake. No, like yeah, it's and in turn like it is kind of like to, like in Spanish you say quedar bien, like to to like quedar bien, like to like be good, to feel good, but like and to like feel good and like seem good with other people. Seem good, that may be better way of explaining that translation. So I've kind of like I've kind of seemed good to people, but yet I've been like really really kind of in my head about a lot of things due to me not giving myself time and letting myself just sit with my ideas and talk. Like I've been looking outward for a person to hear me, understand me, and conversate with me. And like I feel like I seek that a lot, but dude, like when I speak to myself, I seem to get it. I seem to understand myself. I seem to like fix that sort of, I don't want to say, not even fix, like I seem to meet that need of conversating and expressing myself. I feel like I meet that need through this show, like, and I'm working on like doing it outside of this because I do journal, right? Like I've been journaling for fucking 2-3 years, so it's not like it's not something I don't do. I don't not write down what I feel or think. I just, that's like the same thing, like I'm saying, like in my journal it's only to me, right? Like no one sees it, so I can say, oh, I fucking hate this thing, or I feel this thing, I'm feeling stressed or insecure about blank, and no one has to see that. And I don't feel like, it's not that there isn't as much growth, but it's not as it's not as fueling to me than me saying something, posting it online, and fucking having to back it up. Like that's something that I can't really shy away from right now in my stage of life, because I feel like I need that outside pressure too. Because it's really easy to be in the shadows and it's just my own shadows, right? And there's no other external light. But when there's a fucking bright ass light and there's no shadows, it's like, okay, who are you? Who am I? And this is who I am. Like, I like speaking. Like, that's just something I love to do. I love speaking in words. I love speaking in like pictures. I love painting things in in a way with my words. So sometimes I feel like I crave this sort of connection with someone, but yet it's like I'm lacking giving it to myself as of recently. So I gotta hop on here and do 2 times a week at least. At least my baseline is 2 podcasts a week, because it's not hard. It's not hard to edit, dude. It takes me like 5 minutes to edit, and I just literally fucking record, go to Vilo, add the title, add the intro, and post it on Anchor, and then from Anchor I save the audio file, I post it onto Vilo, so I sync it together so you hear this audio instead of that audio, and then fucking export, I publish it, and it's up. So there shouldn't I've made it a baseline thing to be like they need to do 2 podcasts a week, just for my sake, bro. Like I did 3 at one point, and it was literally like, I'm sure, super beneficial to me to be able to voice what I'm thinking of, voice certain beliefs. And as the week passed, whether those beliefs changed, whether my actions didn't didn't align with what I was saying in the past, like it gave me some reference to being like, well, I know I said that last time, but this is what I really mean now, or this is what I have came to agree with based on what we talked about the last time. So I feel like it gives context exteriorly to myself, And I feel like through that I receive a lot of benefit from one, connecting with the world, because I feel like I said, it's very easy for me to hide in my cave and not know or not really think about reaching out to the outside world. When I know that the outside world is there, I'm just more so limited by my belief of I'm in a cave and the only thing around me is my shadows. But there's so much light out there in the world, like there's so much people that want to give that and share that and bounce around and dance with that energy, but here I am withholding myself from the world, withholding myself from speaking, even like how crazy that me versus myself just became a completely internal thing. Like it just became me versus myself for the whole fucking year almost, and it was just me making progress, because I have made progress in certain aspects of my life, you can say, but I'm still in the same situation I was a year ago. And I mean, yes, this year has provided a lot of insight into why that seems to be. It seems to be like I'm in this programming right now of serving others and using that as an excuse to not serve myself. I feel that a lot here at home. I think I base my self-worth based on being able to help other people, and even if that means putting their needs before working on myself, working out, or even putting things or boundaries up of hey, I don't want to do this right now, I can help you or do these things this day, or hey, I need help with this task these days, because I can balance it all because I have, but the help would be really great, So I feel like that's something I am working on sharing more and explaining more. And I think that the podcast helps me live up to who I am, and it pushes me, because it's here I am 1 week, and then in a week I want you to see me in a different place, in a different state of mind, in a different sort of just seeing the momentum progress, rather than I'm in my head, I'm telling myself I need to get to a certain place before I can come up here and talk. But it's bro, I can talk, and it doesn't even need to resonate with anyone. I just need this place to talk. I think I was fixated on the idea that, I need to be relatable, or I need to connect with people my age, or I need to build an audience, I need to make these viral clips, when it's dude, this is for myself. Truly, this, I do this for myself. I don't do this for brand deals. I don't do this for ads. I don't do this because it's gonna make me famous, or it's gonna let me get on other interviews. Yes, that's a byproduct of what I'm trying to build, but that's not the project, right? The project is grow this Spiffy Media business, and Spiffy, whether that's me versus myself, eventually converts into Spiffy Podcast, which is something that I've been thinking about. It might happen. It might happen. So it's just more so growing individually, but sharing that growth, and not thinking that because I'm not at a certain place, I don't have the right to say or publish what I think or feel. That's a stupid belief, to think that I need to censor myself, or that I need to withhold who I am to preserve this sort of image that I've portrayed of who I am, right? Yes, that kind of goes against what I was saying about saying something and then living up to that. But I feel by me saying these things, it reaffirms my new beliefs, right? So it kind of gives me an outlet to let them out, let them exist, and then I can ponder if that's really what I'm thinking about, or really what I feel. But for the past couple of months, couple of weeks, I have not really paid much attention to the internal voice. I even when I gave up the weed and stuff, I feel like I was still very much in that dark place of I'm doing this because I'm expecting to achieve a result, or I'm expecting to branch outward. but yet I feel like I'm still at the same spot. So I feel like in my head there was some sort of growth, because I experienced all the thoughts and I didn't act on all the thoughts. Yet I still felt really good. Although there was part of me telling myself that as soon as I was able to chief up and smoke, like, that things would also be better. And they're not necessarily better. Yeah, it's not necessarily better, because it's crazy to think that it's already 20 days into the year, into the month. So that means like 20 days about I've like consumed weed again. And it's like, I can tell myself it's harmless. I can tell myself that it doesn't really do much, but it does in some weird way. Like, I do notice how I feel when I'm kind of controlled or possessed by this sort of habit of like lingering thought of like, oh, I want to escape, or I want to not feel what I'm feeling, or I want to achieve a certain state of mind that doesn't really exist. It exists because you can reach it, but yet it's like temporary and you can't maintain it. So I feel like when I put myself in that thought loop, it makes it hard for me to I think I got distracted there, but it makes it hard. I got distracted there and I lost my train of thought. But yeah, it just makes it hard for me to like show up for myself. I feel like it's been hard because I've put so many people in front of me, and I feel like I've been judging myself based on the amount of happiness I bring these people, the amount of improvement I add to these people's lives, the amount of value I'm adding to these people. And it's like an ego thing that I need to let go of, like, of me thinking that me saving someone or me, helping people out is like super valuable, because it is valuable. It's not valuable. It's just not more important than serving myself at the moment, just for where I'm at in my place of life. Like, I don't feel like it's in my best interest to continue putting everybody first, just because for so long I've told myself that I am this caregiver, or I am this person who handles things behind the scenes, or that I'm this person that keeps things running, when in reality things will run even if I'm not there. Maybe a little slower, maybe a buffer here and there, but regardless, like, there's nothing that I'm really doing right now that, if I wasn't doing anymore, wouldn't run without me. And for so long I've told myself, oh, I need to do these things because without me they don't do these things, or without me these things don't happen. And to an extent that is true. I just understand I need to put myself first a little bit before I can decide to be like, oh yeah, like, yeah, I don't do this or I don't do that, for the time being. And finding some happy medium of being able to express that and not feel bad about it, because it's not bad, it's just boundaries. Like, I'm just saying, hey, I can't do that right now because I got this planned. But it's hard for me to, in the past it's been hard to be like, oh, I can't do that because I'm doing this thing. But in my head there's no real like structure that I'm following, so it makes it easy for me to be like, oh, I don't have anything, I'm not doing anything right now, let's go, I'll help you, let's go do that. But it's like, I know there's things I need to do, but I just am not so strict on getting the things done, or like setting a task and telling myself I have to do that task before I do anything else. All those little things have been lacking recently, and I feel like that's what we need to pick up on. I need to pick up on like mapping out my week better, because that's like a big thing I feel like I can get going for me, rather than like just letting the week go on, like fuck it, whatever happens happens. More so it's like, nah dude, like I'm trying to do something, I'm trying to build something, I'm trying to improve myself, so why am I gonna not try to enforce that in my life? Because why am I not trying to enforce that in my life? Just because I feel like these people need me, or I feel like these people get something from me, right? It's an ego thing. That is not true. People will run without me. Life will run without me. I need to humble myself and tell myself, hey dude, my life won't run without me though. You know? Like, yeah, my life, I can move forward as far as time goes, but I'm not really moving forward. I'm moving kind of upward in a spiral, you know, instead of fucking. And yeah, there's bumps and hills, but it's just like a flight of stairs. That's everlasting. And yeah, time's going, so we're moving with time, but we're not really going anywhere. So that's where I'm at right now. Feels good to say that. Feels good to speak. Yeah, don't even have to say just fucking, that's where we're at. I said it again. But to be honest, like, that's just what needs to happen. I need to own up to myself. I need to voice my opinions, voice who I am, voice what I'm doing, share with the world what it is that I'm dealing with, because that's why I like it. Just helps me. Like, it helps me a lot to know that, one, people are kind of resonating with it, but two, like, that I'm sharing it with people. And it doesn't have to just be this narrative in my head of like, oh, like I'm filming a movie in my head and this is the way the movie needs to play out because I'm the main character, blah blah blah. More so I can more so I'm more intentional with what I do. And I'm not just this like star in this film, you know, even if I'm not doing good. Like yeah, I can focus on the bad parts, I can focus on the negative feelings, I can focus on the insecurities, but truly that's not going to help me move forward. I mean, it will by addressing them so I can move forward, but sitting in that place and trying to think my way out of that feeling, it's not going to work ever. No, that will never work. So I think I need to just sit with myself more so that I can quiet out the conditioning and the conditioned voices that are in my head of like, oh, well, you need to do this because of that, or oh, this person is depending on you for this, or you're valuable to this because of this, and you're doing so good because of this, when I could be doing better and not doing those things and be doing just as good, if not better, you know? So that's where I'm at. Me versus Myself podcast is back. Soon to be Spiffy podcast. Let me know what you guys think about that change, Spiffy podcast, because if you don't know who I am, Jesus Alejandro Guillen, owner of Spiffy Media, CEO, inventor of this fucking logo right there. Yet, Me versus Myself is kind of different than my brand of Jesus Spiffy. So, a lot of people know me as Jesus Spiffy Jesus. Spiffy Clan has been a thing since 2016. So, Spiff Lord, Spiffy, Jesus, you know, that's who I am. But, the Spiffy podcast would essentially be the same thing, or Me versus Myself podcast / Spiffy, Me versus Myself, or Spiffy podcast, I think would work better. And it would still be these things where I'm talking to myself, I'm sharing my idea, Spiffy Jesus, but I'm also introducing people and bringing people on here to talk with me, to share what it is whatever it is that they want to share, right? Just have conversations with people and have it be an excuse for me to, one, connect with the world on a different scale, but also like invite people over, have people come here and enjoy my space, enjoy the studio, and enjoy sharing and expressing themselves, like, and have conversations with people that I've been meaning to have, that I haven't had, that I do miss, or maybe people that I'm thinking about, like friends that I haven't talked to in 2 years, a lot of homies that since high school I haven't really reached out to, which is normal, right? Like, it's normal for that to happen. But there's some people that, we're just living our lives, so it's no real hard feelings. I'm just looking forward to having those conversations of like, hey, dude, where have you been? Like, how have you been? How have I been? So thank you for watching. This has been Me Versus Myself. Goodbye.